However, it will be on our website probably within the next week or two, just because it has to go through ADA compliance. And so we will be posting that to our website. In the meantime, if you would like a copy of the recording email, just either let us know in the Q&A at the end of the session, or send an email and we can get that to you. All right, and without further ado, I'm going to kind of pass it over to Rebecca to kind of get us started.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. As we begin this quick conversation, just talking you through the technical aspects of the grant application, just want to take a second to focus on our top 10 in 10. As our state's top 10 in 10 years initiative strategic goal number 3 states, our goal within the Michigan Department of Education Office of Educator Excellence is to assist our constituents in the field with their ed-eval systems and as well as their professional growth systems. So they might not only be compliant to minimum standards that are defined in our legislation, but also so that they can exceed those requirements and leverage their systems to truly improve professional practices and student outcomes in authentic ways. So this grant actually does address 3 grant priority areas, and one of those grant priority areas is educator evaluation systems. And the other 2 grant priority areas address professional growth for both building principals, district leaders, and teacher leaders. We'll get into that in much more depth in just a second. So in our office, we specifically focus on the top 10 in 10 goal number 3, which is it addresses the development, the support, and sustaining a high quality, prepared, and collaborative education workforce. And this Title IIA statewide activity grant fits squarely within that goal. So I'm going to start by just kind of walking you through the really general information and begin with our timeline. So the application will be available in MEGS by tomorrow, July 20th. We are looking at an application deadline of August 10th, and we will allow applications to be submitted up until 11:59 p.m. And being a former grant specialist for districts, I was one of those people submitting at 11:59.59 at times, so we get that. August 10th through the 24th, we will be conducting an internal review of applications, and we are looking to notify grant award recipients in early September so that we can give districts and PSAs an opportunity to really enact their plans right at the beginning of the school year. Eligible applicants, there has been a little bit of confusion because this is a federal grant, that is true, but we in the state of Michigan, we do use a little bit different language when we talk about LEAs. Grants that are generally associated with federal grants often refer to LEAs as including ISDs and RESAs, but for the purposes of this grant, we're using more of a Michigan definition of LEA, and we're focusing on individual districts and public school academies. There are options for collaboration and leveraging economy of scale if you decide to apply as a consortium. That is definitely an option. We realize that sometimes it makes a whole lot of sense for districts to do that kind of work. ISDs and RESAs are eligible to participate as providers, and they were listed as a preferred or a pre-approved provider. They can also be included as a part of a consortium, but not as an applicant for the funds. First priority has been defined as being given to our partnership district applicants. However, this is a pretty sizable pot of money that has been made available for this grant, and we would expect that there will be plenty of dollars to be allocated outside of partnership district applicants as well. So as I mentioned briefly earlier, these are our grant categories. These are pretty broadly defined, but we're looking at 3 specific grant categories: building and district leader supports, teacher supports, and educator evaluation system supports. And I'm going to hand the floor over to Marty.
All right, so real quickly, so getting into the application process, which will be available tomorrow. Basically, the applications will be reviewed and rated in accordance with the format and review criteria. Up to 66 points will be awarded and distributed based on the applicable review criteria, which we'll describe later in this presentation. All applications need a cover page, an abstract, a grant narrative, and a budget. So when you go into MEGS tomorrow and you search Title IIA Teacher and Leader Instruction Support, and you get to that page and click View Edit, you'll kind of see this. It's a very simple application that we have loaded into MEGS. As you see in the status section there, the cover page, assurance and certifications, important information are all listed there. And then budget pages. So there will be a separate page to enter your budget. And then on the bottom, basically the attachments, and that's what I want to talk about a little bit. The program description attachment should be your grant narrative. And we'll kind of go in specifically in a second here on what that all needs to have in it. But that'll be your grant narrative. And then the other attachments will be, well, exactly that, other attachments. That will include the abstract, which I'll talk about here in a second as well. But I wanted to show what the application is going to look like when you log into MEGS and search for the Title IIA Teacher and Leader Instruction Support. So basically, as I said, one requirement will be a small abstract. So this should be a separate page and upload it under other attachments. This should be double spaced, and basically it's just a 250-word description of the project. This will not be counted against the total number of narrative pages. So it does, in the RFP, it did mention that 10 pages for the narrative. This does not count as one of those 10, and that's why it should be uploaded in the other attachments. Also then, to be uploaded as an attachment under program description will be your grant narrative. This should be 1-inch margins and be collated and numbered consecutively throughout. No more than 10 double-spaced pages using 11-point Verdana font. Charts, graphs, and bulleted lists can be single-spaced, and the narrative section titles should be consistent with review criteria. And we'll kind of go through everything that should be in the grant narrative, which it speaks to each of those criteria, that review criteria, and also make sure in your grant narrative that you are specifying which of those categories. Rebecca mentioned before, the teacher supports, building leader supports, and educator evaluation supports. So make sure if you're specifying if you're looking at one of those or all 3 of those or 2 of those, just make sure that's clear. So the project budget, as I showed, there will be a budget page. So your delineated budget and everything will be entered into that page, that budget page in MEGS. The grant narrative should include some pieces of the budget, though, just a description of how the budget aligns to the project plan, identified needs and goals of grant, and also explanation of how it's cost effective, and then how it meets budget requirements in the RFP. So that should be included in the grant narrative, but the delineated part will be that separate budget function in MEGS. Just a quick reminder, if you have connected a phone, make sure your phone is muted so we're not getting any feedback in the presentation. So then also in the other attachments, again, other appendices that you may want to include, they should also be limited to 10 double-spaced pages using 11-point Verdana font. Again, these appendices will not be factored into the 10-page limit of the narrative. Charts, graphs, and bullet lists, just like in the narrative, should be single-spaced. And then again, as mentioned earlier, we mentioned that districts can apply as part of a consortium. If that is the case, make sure that you kind of upload an attachment in that other attachment, kind of listing all schools in that consortium. So the application itself won't have a spot to enter those schools, so make sure you put it into other attachments. All right, and again, we do seem to have someone who's called in. Please make sure you mute your phone. We're getting a little bit of feedback. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Rebecca to kind of talk about that review criteria and what should be covered in that grant narrative a little more specifically.
Okay, so we will start with the demonstrated need and significance of project, and this is worth up to 12 points in the review rubric. So the things that we'll be looking for in review are evidence that your program addresses the needs that are delineated through your comprehensive needs assessment. And those should be focused on improving the capacity of educators to deliver instruction and improve student achievement. We'll also be looking for evidence that the proposed programs and professional development address educators' needs as supported by qualitative and/or quantitative data. Also, description as to how proposed activities will address these needs, and will also align with your district's improvement plan and the school improvement plans for schools that are involved. And finally, a description of the actions taken to involve non-publics located within the geographic region. And that is, if you were on at the beginning of this conversation, you heard me reference federal language, and that's a really good example of some federally required language, that last bullet there. So moving on to plan of operation, which is worth 12 points on the review rubric. We will be looking for the extent to which your proposal demonstrates how the activities that you've planned are expected to improve teacher or administrator practice. Also, a clearly described implementation plan, and you can choose to describe that either through a table or through narrative format. But we do ask that you include a 13-month timeline and address all of the required components. We will be looking for a description of your external partners, should you use external partners, and describe their role. If the partner that you are including in your program is not currently on our approved entities list, which is provided in Appendix A, we just ask that you provide us with information about that entity that you'd like to use, and give us a rationale for why you would choose to use that entity rather than one of the approved, pre-approved entities. We are fully aware that there are lots of options out there, and we just want to, we'd like to give you some room to be innovative, but we also want to make sure that programs that are funded are being supported by really strong programs and professional development out there. And finally, we'd also ask for detail as to how your local or PSA will prioritize funds to schools served by the LEA or PSA that are implementing comprehensive support and improvement activities. So again, that speaks to your systemic planning and how you're going to prioritize funds within your system. And Marty already mentioned this, but I think it's worth mentioning again. Please specify in your narrative what category or categories you are applying for. We already received a question earlier in this hour about, hey, can we cross over grant categories? And the answer is absolutely yes. If you're looking at your CNA and you're seeing the need for addressing all three of these priority areas, then absolutely yes. Please plan programming that will address any piece of professional development that fits within one of these or all of these grant priority areas. So moving on to sustainability, and there are 6 points available on the review rubric within the sustainability realm. And we pared this down quite a bit, just trying to make this attainable, especially within an abbreviated timeline like we have. We're looking for a statement that describes your plan to continue progressing towards the goals that you've stated are priorities for your district or for your entity once the grant period has ended. And also, we're looking for demonstration that you've specified an internal evaluator that will complete evaluation tasks, including local data collection. There are some reporting requirements, and you will need to identify who the individual is within your entity who will be responsible for collecting the information and kind of tracking progress in implementation and making sure that everything's on point there. Moving on to quality of programming, there are 15 points available within the rubric, and the specific things we will be looking at are your description of how each program being implemented, whether you choose to address one or more of the grant priority areas, how those are designed and implemented to specifically meet your local goals and address state standards. We'll be looking at clearly stated vision, mission, and set of purposes and goals aligned with evidence-based, highly leveraged leading practices or best practice models. And finally, we'll be looking for you to demonstrate a connection and alignment with current evidence-based research on effective district, school, and teacher leadership.
Yeah, I can speak to that. You want me to speak to that? Okay.
You're live, Marty.
Oh, well, there you go. Anyway, yeah, so their question popped up on a change of points. So it wasn't meant to be a change of points on sustainability or quality programming, but yes, in the RFP it stated 18 points for sustainability and 27 points for quality programming. It is the 6 and 15. Each of the review criteria are out of 3 points. So I apologize for the mistake. We apologize sincerely for the confusion. But yes, that will be changed on the RFP later today.
So please use the points that we are going over right now if you begin your planning as soon as we get off the webinar, that those points will be updated on the RFP that's posted online. So moving on, we're still looking at quality of programming. We are looking at also describing how the program provides professional development that's focused on leading a culture of change, supporting learning-focused culture, embracing a strengths-based approach to leading improvement of instructional practices through feedback and the management of systems and processes. And also looking for an emphasis on access, equity, diversity, inclusion, and cultural proficiency by encouraging the organization and its members to analyze held assumptions, beliefs, behaviors, practices, and policies to create equitable learning opportunities for all. Moving forward with the evaluation plan, there are 6 points available in the rubric. We are looking for a clear list or a table of the short-term and long-term goals of the project related to the identified content. And we are looking for a description of a system that captures multiple variables related to the program to determine success, including assessing annual performance data of the schools using qualitative methods. Again, we pared that particular part of the application way down, just really trying to make this fully accessible to all districts and PSAs within our pretty short timeline here. So talking about budget, there are 15 points available on the rubric, and what we are asking for will be a detailed budget describing the total request for funding and how those funds will be used, a delineation of expenditures that can include stipends to teachers or administrators for additional time or additional leadership responsibility, reimbursement for the cost of professional learning, including tuition reimbursement, purchase services from an external provider for professional learning, coaching, or mentoring. We also need a description of how the budget aligns to your project plan, identified district needs and goals of the grant. We need to see evidence of adherence to federal and state guidelines on allowable costs, and those are shared out in the RFP and in pretty brief detail. But if you're not as familiar with federal and state guidelines on allowable costs, please reach out and we can help you understand those. The budget narrative also should explain how the budget is cost effective, adequate to support the proposed project, and complies with budget requirements of the request for proposals, including an explanation of how the budget, the proposed budget amount is appropriate for the number of targeted participants. And this is where I'll mention the $2,000 on average per participant allowable budget amount. I should also say, because I know this question has come up a couple of times just in early phone calls, sub-costs for approved professional development are also allowable. And there are codes available in the drop-downs in MEGS to choose that line item. And I am going to pass the baton over to Marty.
All right, I will gladly accept that baton. And moving on to kind of selection of award recipients. So grants will be awarded through a competitive review process. Applications will be reviewed using an internal panel of experts, including MDE consultants. And attention will be given to national administrator and teacher leadership standards, national standards for quality professional development, elements of legislation around educator evaluation, and State Board of Education policies. Again, reviewers will reward up to 66 points, so 3 points for every review item in the criteria per grant application. And again, we apologize for the mix-up with the point totals there for quality programming and sustainability. So there is, one of the funding priorities will be given to partnership districts as they will be reviewed first. The number of grants recommended for awards will be influenced by availability of funds, the quality of proposals submitted, geographical distribution, and the size of the final budget negotiated for each project. and applicants may receive only a portion of their proposed amount. So it is possible, because there is only 2.2 million that is available to be awarded, and at an average of $2,000 per educator served, it is possible that a grant proposal may be partially funded. As is mentioned in the review criteria, there is a pre-approved provider list. So an MDE pre-approved provider list. So if you do kind of connect with one of these providers, you will not have to provide that rationale that was stated in the plan of operation. So this list includes a lot of different entities, including approved Michigan educator preparation providers, both traditional and alternative routes. It also includes all of Michigan intermediate school districts or education agencies, among many other entities who have programming that fits the grant's purpose. Now we will take a little minute here to kind of go through all our questions, and if you do have a question right now, please feel free to use the Q&A pod, and we'll kind of go through and look at our questions right now and make sure that we've got everything covered. Please make sure, again, also here are just some contacts. So obviously that's the link to the grant, the direct link to the RFP, and that will be updated this afternoon with the correct point totals. And then also Rebecca's email there for any further questions. Real quickly, as we're kind of going through questions and trying to finish up answering, hopefully we've answered a lot through the Q&A pod. Also, there has been some questions on whether this PowerPoint will be available. Yes, it may not be available on our website. So actually, if you'd like a copy of the PowerPoint, why don't you just submit in the Q&A pod your email address? Again, that's not going out to everybody, that's just going to us. So if you submit your email, we can send you a copy of the PowerPoint. As well as the recording. So we are just taking a second, kind of look through all questions, making sure we didn't miss anything. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to bring up our contact information again real quickly here. If you do have any further questions, please feel free to email Rebecca at her email address at the bottom. You may also contact me, Marty Snitchen, at snitchenm1@michigan.gov. That's SNITCHEN STGENM1 But other than that, we thank you so much for joining us. Again, if you have further questions, please get in contact with us. And if you want a copy of the PowerPoint, please make sure that you leave us your email address, and we'll make sure to get you a copy of that as well as a copy of the recording of today's session. If there is no further questions, and I believe we are done. Thank you again for joining us. If we did not get to your question, or you have not gotten an answer to your question, please feel free to also leave your contact information. We'll make sure to reach out to you. We'll make sure to reach out to you privately to get that question answered. Thank you all, and have a great day.